Hello and welcome back to the Finding Your Feet podcast, a podcast show dedicated to helping you get closer to your true authentic self by helping you find your feet in life.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Today we are talking all about how to keep your brain nice and clean and tidy. So the daily practices and the, monthly, yearly practices as well that you need to do to maintain strong mental health and a good positive mindset, because I think the biggest misconception out there in self-development world and everything is that all these positive happy people that you see and look up to, you literally think they wake up like that, and they don't. It's like a daily commitment to train your mind to be that way. So we are bringing you a practical episode broken down between your conscious and your subconscious mind, with literally the things you need to be doing to keep your conscious mind clean and your subconscious mind clean, and what the difference between the two and why they're so important. We're going to talk a little bit about manifesting as well. It's going to be a good little episode.
Yeah, exactly, because it's completely down to you, how you feel every day and how you run your life with your mind. It's completely down to you. So this episode is going to be full of loads of tips for both your conscious and your subconscious mind,
and help you feel nice and empowered to be the positive person that you actually want to be.
Exactly, and just remind you that really, it's all down to you. You have the power within you. We're going to give you the tips, but just to know that you can actually achieve everything we talk about in this episode. But before we get into the show, we just have our Apple Podcast review of the week. So this review says, "Truly magical. What can I say? I'm obsessed. I stumbled across your podcast a couple of weeks ago and I've never looked back since. I literally listen to you guys every day, traveling to work and back, dog walks, you name it. You are both truly magical, and I feel like I'm having a chat on the sofa with you when I'm listening. You're sharing so much valuable knowledge and I implement it and seeing results. You give me motivation, a helping hand when I need it most. I shouted from the rooftop to all my friends about your podcast and I hope they become as hooked as I am. Love, from Alice." I love that. And I love how you're shouting from the rooftops, because that's what we need, you sharing it with your friends.
Yeah, that's how the podcast spreads best, is when people recommending it to their friends, their inner circle, their WhatsApp groups. So yeah, that's amazing. But thanks so much, Alice, you little sweetie pie.
Yeah, thanks so much.
I'm glad that you're getting lots of practical tips from the episodes as well, and you're actually seeing results in your life, because that's the purpose of each episode, is for you to be able to take something away that's actually gonna work. But love that so much. Thank you. And if you guys want to share the love, if you want to be featured in Review of the Week, where we read your review out at the beginning of the episode and give you a little shout out, then leave us some feedback on Apple Podcasts, because it just warms our hearts so much and it really helps us, know what you guys are loving, so that we can keep doing more, and it helps us grow. So get involved and share the love. Yeah,
definitely come and let us know your thoughts. It just gives us that little extra boost that we need.
Yeah. But let's just start the episode off with a high five. Yeah.
I swear I'm going to do that you day now, for the rest of my life.
Yeah, so guys, you might be wondering, what the fuck are you guys doing? So we've been, you guys might have even noticed yourselves, but Mel Robbins, who's a motivational speaker, and she's the creator of the 5-second rule, which is that rule where you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you jump out of bed or do something that you're going to do. Anyway, she's got a book coming out, and so she's doing the rounds on all the podcasts. So we've been listening to her, and she's come up with this new thing called the high five habit. That's what her book's about. But basically what you have to do is you have to high five yourself in the mirror every morning when you wake up. And she explains all the reasons behind why it actually works. And it's because when you're high-fiving someone, your nervous system and your body is literally, it's been trained throughout your life to associate raised hands and high-fiving with positivity, because you high five to be yeah, you got this, yeah, well done. Or even you high five, or someone comes to give you a hug and open their arms, or give you a pat on the back, even when you're right, come on, let's keep going. It's always motivational and positive. So that's why when you go and high five yourself in the mirror, even though you feel like an absolute lunatic at first, your brain is it's literally associates high-fiving with good vibes. So when you're high-fiving yourself in the mirror, it is pretty cool. Like, I've been sending Abby some pictures in the morning. Me high-five myself in the mirror. And it makes you feel good. So that's why we're starting off the episode with a high five, you know, to bring the vibes. And wherever you are right now, please don't do this if you're driving, but high five yourself, high five your mate, high five yourself in the mirror. Yeah. Show yourself some high five love.
I think, like, I'm literally never going to stop high fiving now. Like, the science that she explains behind it is really interesting. She was saying, like, you get that rush of dopamine when you high five yourself. And as well, she was saying how, you know, how a lot of people, like, one of the easiest ways to implement, like, a new thought and a new neural pathway is by doing, like, a physical action with the thoughts. You know, like, a lot of people say if they have negative thoughts, they'll have, like, a band on the wrist and, like, flick it because... And when I first saw that, I thought, why the hell would that help? But it's, like, attaching the physical thing to a new thought helps implement... I think she said it's, like, the quickest way to create, like, a new neural pathway. So if you're getting up every morning and you're physically high-fiving yourself in the mirror, you're saying, oh, well done, you can do this, you're amazing. Like, that's implementing that new thing. So all you guys that love your affirmations like we do, then pair your affirmations with the high five.
Yeah, match them both.
And we should definitely just high five all the time. I think I've actually done it in the mirror like 2 times or 3 times today already.
Yeah, it does make you feel good.
It's going to be a bit like an obsessive
You'll be
thing.
like, what am I doing? But then you do it and you're like, hell yeah. You like sort of like grinning at yourself in the mirror. Actually works.
So, the way she describes it is so nice when she's saying, like, you high five yourself and, like, instead of seeing, like, the worry or your to-do list, like, you see the human looking back at you.
Yeah.
And, like, you have compassion and think, oh, I've got this.
Yeah, and, like, you know, because you'd hype up, like, your bestie and stuff in the morning, or like if you like came in and you were like, oh, I hate myself, I feel like shit, I'm a waste of space, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Come on, bro, get it together, you got this. But you don't say that to yourself when you wake up in the morning, and sometimes you say those things to yourself. You're then like, yeah, you are. You're a piece of shit. Like you're like you just stay stuck in that. Whereas if you go and like high five, you're like, you know, cheering on.
Yeah, because I suppose when do you ever, unless you're actually getting ready or brushing your teeth or something, you don't really look in the mirror, like, you don't intentionally go and look in the mirror. No. So I think, like, actually doing that.
You look in the mirror and you're like, oh, you don't look very good, do you? Because you just rolled out of bed and you're like,
yeah, oh, you need to get ready.
Look at you mess. Look at your hair. You look so tired. Look at that spot that's appeared overnight. Like, that's what
standard for me nowadays.
Yeah, that's what you know. You normally say mean things. So yeah, start high-fiving.
Yeah, 100%.
We're going to high five at the beginning of every podcast episode.
It'll be the new intro.
So even though like that high five thing sounds quite like extreme, that is what people do. Like that is the kind of things you have to do to be happy and like positive and like have a tidy brain. Like you need to do things like that daily. Like even the people that you see that are like bouncing off the walls, that are buzzing, loving life, is because in the morning they're priming themselves. You know, like Tony Robbins calls it priming, and he has his priming routine. I feel like it's kind of, I don't know what he does. I think it's quite weird. I feel like he bangs his chest.
He does some mad things. He jumps on like trampolines and stuff.
Yeah, he's got some intense priming. And when I heard years ago that he does that, I always thought, what? Whereas now I get it, and I basically prime myself every morning, but just in my own way. I don't bang my chest. I high five myself in the mirror. No, like you're doing like your meditation and you're reading and some affirmations, like that's all priming. And it's really funny because like you can literally wake up and not feel that fab, and then you do your little priming. And then you're like, wow, I feel great. Let's take on the day. And then that's what you go out into the world and present. And that's what people see. And most people assume, well, you've just bloody bounced out of bed like that. Which some days, you know, you do bounce out of bed like that. But not every day. And that's why it's like a commitment and like a daily practice that you got to like keep putting in. And I think that's really good, empowering thing for people to know, because so many people like will compare themselves to like positive people online, maybe even us listening to the podcast, because I mean we don't come on the podcast like and cry. We like come on, we're like we're being uplifting, we're being like high vibe, and they might think, oh, you're just always like that.
But a lot goes into that.
Yeah, but we're not always like that. Like, everyone's human, and that's a really good thing to know, because then you'll stop thinking there's something wrong with you, because you don't wake up every morning wanting to like spring out of bed and take on the world. Like, you need to, you got to prime yourself.
Yeah, I think it's like you almost have to get up and think, I'm taking control and I'm actually going to decide what my mood is today. Like, it's very easy to wake up and like, if you're in a bit of a foggy mood, like I think I've done this in the past where like you wake up in a foggy mood and you think, oh, well, that's me for the day. I'm just going to be in this mood.
In a mood, yeah.
But like, you have to decide. Like, you get out of bed and you might not feel good. Like, 9 times out of 10, you may not feel good, because like naturally I think you wake up and you think, oh, what I've got to do today. Like, you have to decide, I'm going to feel good today. I'm going to put myself in a good mood. And that takes time. And that's why things like morning routines and stuff are so important, because you literally are setting yourself up for the day. And the people that dedicate that time to themselves, they show up for themselves better and for other people, as you said. Because like those happy people walking down the street that are generous, that are feeling grateful, it's because they've woken in the morning, they've done gratitude and stuff like that. Like, you don't just wake up. And as well, I think it's like, you don't do like a morning routine for 10 years and then all of a sudden you're like this happy person. Like, it's something you have to continue doing and dedicating yourself to all the time.
I think you like when you like feel like most of the time you're kind of like meh, like a bit, negative and a bit bleh. Then you really do need to do it every day. And then I think you get to a point where you really do like create all those new neural pathways in your brain, and you really do create your new identity of being a happy, positive person. So you can like take your foot off the gas a little bit, but you still have to do it all the time.
And if anything, you miss it, I think, when you don't.
Yeah, you really start to tell the difference when you don't do it. Like, even for me, that I always do the morning routine in the week, and then sometimes at the weekend I don't do it, because I'm like, like you going and doing different things, you're on a different schedule, or maybe you're like staying at someone's house and you've gone away for the weekend or things like that. It's a bit, harder sometimes to do that. And even at the weekend I like really notice it, and I just think, I just need to do this every bloody day.
Yeah.
It's just because it really does make such a big difference. But
because once I think you receive the benefits, it's a bit like when people like start working out or start like like dedicating themselves to something. You receive the benefits, and then the more you kind of carry on doing it and making it a proper habit, then when you stop it, you actually miss it.
Yeah.
So it's like you just have to keep doing it and keep pushing it. It's things like meditation as well. Like, so many people say, oh, I can't meditate and stuff, and then once they do, all they'll ever say is, I can't start my day without meditation, because they're so used to it and they've received the benefits.
What makes me laugh is when like other people know that you meditate or whatever, and then they're like, did you meditate today? Because you're being crazy.
Yeah, I've actually had that before.
There you go off and have a 10 minutes and come back, you're a new person.
Yeah. Then I suppose that just shows the level of calm that you're at. Like, if the person doesn't meditate, and it's like, well, yeah, at least I access that level of calm. Because I think an ex once said, when you said it then, I remember an ex saying that to me once, like, you need to come meditate. So don't tell me to fucking meditate.
Oh my God. So when you're trying to keep your brain nice and tidy, keeping it all in order, nice, spring cleaning going on, you putting in the elbow grease to get those stains off the countertop. You're keeping it all nice and tidy up there. There's like two parts of your brain that you have to tend to: the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And your conscious mind is like where you like kind of control your thinking. It's like your like thoughts that you kind of intend to have. That makes sense. And you think that in your conscious mind, that's what drives all your behavior, but it's not. Your subconscious mind is actually the part of your brain where all like your belief systems are stored, the way you view the world, and any like of your insecurities and fears are all stored there. And that part of your brain actually drives 95% of your behavior. So in your conscious mind, you might think, I am going to start dating because I want to meet somebody, fall in love. So your conscious mind is like, right, I'm going to go on a date, or I'm going to ask that person out, or I'm going to sign up to a dating app or something like that. And then your subconscious mind, where you might have a belief system, let's say in this example you have a belief system back in there, deep rooted from something in childhood that made you form this worldview that relationships are scary, or that you aren't actually deserving of a loving, healthy relationship. So then when your conscious mind is like, I'm going to go on a date, this is what I want to do, I want to meet somebody, blah, blah, blah. Your subconscious mind is what drives 95% of your behavior. So it's going to cause you to completely self-sabotage. So it's going to be the thing in your head that's saying, oh no, date's scary, don't do that. Or it's going to literally like make you maybe be really nervous for a date, or view it as like bigger than it actually is. Or when you're actually in a relationship, maybe this person you've met is actually really nice, and they have the potential for you to together build a healthy relationship, but your subconscious mind believes that you're not worthy of that and it's not possible. So you're actually going to self-sabotage it and push it away because it's like unfamiliar, and your subconscious mind just thinks, no, because remember what we believe is that is not, you're not allowed that, and that's not within your realm of familiarity, so you're going to push it away. So in your conscious mind you think, why the freaking hell would I do that? But this is what I mean, so you have this level of like self-sabotage. You've got these two parts of your brain that are playing here, that you've got to tend to both of them, and they require different things to be looked after. But when you do, and you're constantly dusting away at the conscious mind, and then, really getting into the root of the subconscious mind and pulling out all the weeds, that is what's going to make you feel happy, positive, and it's also going to be the thing that stands between you creating your dream life and you not. Because if you aren't like doing things, especially the subconscious mind work, you are going to block your manifestations, you're going to block yourself from even like trying to create the reality you actually want. So it's very important to tend to both, and we're going to go through ways to tend to the conscious and ways to tend to the subconscious mind, so that you can be doing these both daily, weekly, monthly, and you can get the results that you actually want to see in your life. Like this is it. This is the formula of life. This is what you need to do.
Yeah, exactly. This is like an all-round work of what you need to do, because you literally can't pick and choose. Like you can't be like, I'm just going to work on my conscious or my subconscious. Like it has to be, it has to be a mix of the two. And I think it's quite easy to avoid the subconscious work because we will get into it. But like it is that stuff that's really deep within you. It might be painful. It might be stuff that's attached to trauma. And I just believe that kind of like the more uncomfortable it is and the more deep down it is, the better the rewards will be when you pick out and pull out that weed.
That's when you see the biggest transformations in your life. Yeah,
like the really uncomfortable things. Like you might even be thinking now, you might have things in your mind like, oh, is that subconscious belief? If that like makes you a bit uncomfortable, stuff you don't want to say out loud, that's kind of stuff that like digging it out is going to really help you. But yeah, as I said, you can't just pick one. But I really feel like with a conscious mind, that is more like your day-to-day things.
That's like what you're doing in your morning routine. I think it's tending to the conscious mind and a little bit the subconscious.
Yeah, exactly. Like we said, nobody kind of wakes up and jumps out of bed and feels automatically really good. Some days you do, which is great, and you can just carry on that feeling, but not every day. So I think working on your conscious mind is very, very, very important for day-to-day happiness.
Yeah.
So I would say definitely when I started becoming like much more aware of, for one, how our thoughts work and kind of looking at your thoughts in a different way, not letting them consume you and becoming the observer of your thoughts, I think it's one of the most crucial things. And you can do that through many forms, which we always talk about. But I think that is the main thing which really helps you take control of your conscious mind. Because if you don't take control of your conscious mind, it will literally just tell you you're a piece of shit. Like it will. It's kind of like the way we're wired. Like we do focus on the negatives, which we say all the time. So starting with things like journaling about your thoughts, the crazy negative thoughts that come out in your mind, is one of those starting places where you can really become aware of your conscious thoughts and start tidying up your mind each day. Because
if you, like, when you think about it in this way, if you can hear that negative voice in your head, it's talking and you can hear it. If you can hear it, it's not you. So because that means you're separate from it, which means that's when you have to put yourself back in a position of power, because people always feel powerless to their minds. You have to be the boss. So you say, hey, you're behaving badly. I'm the boss around here. You're fired. And then you employ new, positive, lovely, self-loving self-talker to replace that negative one. And that requires just repetition of like certain practices, and then eventually the negative voice will really just disappear. Not forever, because it will never go away forever, but if it's really loud right now, like I think you go through periods of your life where it's louder than other times, and that's when you really have to just manage it within yourself. But remember that, like, if you are aware, if you can hear it, if you're listening to it, then it's not actually you. So stop being like a victim to it and just show it who's boss and tell it to piss off and replace it with a nice, like, positive voice instead. And I think meditation is the number one practice that gives you the awareness that you're not your thoughts, and that awareness of being the observer of what's going on in your mind, and puts distance between you and those little annoying thoughts. And then, like, journaling is good for like unpacking them and, you know, reframing them and like letting them go. And then meditation is what's good of actually getting you to that state of like distance and awareness and like power to know that you can choose a different thought. I always really like what Gabby Bernstein says when she always says, just choose the next best feeling thought to raise your vibe. Because, like, especially if you're like really low, like, so you got really like, because there's like the emotional frequency graph which we shared on our Instagram before, but if you come to our workshops as well, like, we explain it to you in that. But there's like emotions all sit on a different frequency of like vibration, and when you're like feeling happy, like, you're on a really high vibe, and when you feel like shit, you're on a low vibe, like, you know that. So if you're like having like a thought that's like, you know, a bit like let's say shame, like shame's quite a low vibration. If you're having a thought related to shame, like you're really annoyed that you did something, or maybe something happened to you and you feel like so much shame around it, even though it wasn't actually really your fault, but like, if you know, it's like, I don't know what, anything, like you feel really shameful about it, you just need to, she always says, it's like you need to just reach to the next best feeling thought. And sometimes that is just still, let's say, a low vibe emotion, but it's higher up than shame. So I think like blame or something like that, or something is above shame, but it's better to go to blame than to be in shame, and then you just keep moving up. And I think that's quite a good, nice way to make you, because when you're like right at the bottom, like with your mood, when you feel really low, it's really hard to say, oh, reach for the next best feeling thought. You automatically think it needs to be completely flipped into some like really happy thought, and that feels too far away for you to get, and then you don't try. Whereas if you just think about it in that way and break it down and view it as like a little bit of a ladder, I don't know, come up with these analogies every time, every episode. But yeah, like you're climbing up, think about you climbing up a ladder in your brain, like take one step up to the next best feeling thought, and that still might actually be a negative one, but it might be less negative than the one under it that you're already on, and like keep moving that up, and eventually you'll get back up to feeling good again and like a higher vibe.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it a bit more like bite-sized, taking it in steps. And I think as well, like when you think about the observer, like the way I try, because I feel like with stuff like that, it's quite hard to get your head around it, especially if you're new to that concept.
Yeah.
Like when I first heard that, I was like, what the hell do you mean I'm the observer? But the way I imagine it is like, you obviously have all these thoughts in your mind, but I always imagine yourself as the observer, like above your head. So like I always imagine myself as like a ball of energy above my head. So like, say if like, this comes as well into like body image and stuff, because you don't, like, people identify too much as their body. So I think if you imagine yourself as the observer above your head, you remember, oh, I'm not my body. Like, my body is a vessel which I'm in, but I'm not actually my body. And then also that you're not your thoughts. Like, I think naturally, because we hear our voice in our head, I don't know about you, but I think, oh, me, I'm like in my head.
Yeah, because it's in your voice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you feel like you're like talking to yourself, but you're not really, like, you're actually just analysing your thoughts. So imagine yourself as the observer above your head and analyse the thoughts. And if you don't do that and you act the victim to your own thoughts, that's where you will like lose yourself, and like you will wake up and like the day won't go the way you want it, because you become a victim to your thoughts because you're not analysing them. You're not choosing what you want to think. And I think things like journaling, just like dumping down, like we talked about this many times, like the concept of talking to Becky, which is like talking to your mind, just dumping down your worries in the morning is so powerful, because you're getting them out of your head and onto paper. You're being that observer. You're saying, this isn't very helpful. I'm going to write this down. And once you dump it on that page, you're leaving it there for the day. You don't need to carry it around with you. Like, I honestly think, like, if everybody in the world wrote down their worries or what was like really like weighing them down in the morning, I think it would generally like really, really improve like the mental health of the world.
Yeah.
Because our thoughts can just be so heavy. So yeah, reminding yourself that you are the observer, and like you can choose which thoughts are serving you and which are not. And like Grace just said, you can write them down, dump them down, and then step up that ladder. What is going to make you feel better? And yeah, I think it can be a bit overwhelming, like thinking, oh, this thought is like bugging me down, but let's like completely change it to a positive thought. Like, it can be quite overwhelming. So I think, yeah, definitely going up that ladder and becoming familiar with the different emotions and the frequencies of them. So like maybe go on our Instagram, even find that we could link it and screenshot it, and like really look at the emotions and become aware of like what is actually high and what is low frequency.
Yeah. And with journaling, like when you're dumping down your worries, then you get them all down there and like on paper, like this is what it is, and then just it gives you an opportunity to reframe. So then you can like, and that's so important, is to reframe how you look at things, because to be honest, all of life is just perspective on how you view it and how you deal with different, because you know, me and you could have the same experience and we both could have very different, you know, emotional responses to it, or how we view it like as a past thing. Like when we're looking back at it, it's all about perspective, because you hear it even when you hear like some people that have gone through some absolute shit, but they're like they've got this really kind of resilient, empowering view on it all, when for somebody else that could completely make them crumble. Like, life is all about perspective. And when you're journaling and you're dumping down what you're worried about, then you're giving yourself a chance to reframe and get a different perspective. And you can literally like write to, as you would to your friends, you've got your worry list. The same way, if your friend came and told you, oh, these are 5 things that worrying me, you would go one by one and say, give them a new perspective, you give them some encouragement. You basically can do that to yourself with a journal. And I heard someone say this quote the other day, which I loved, and it was like, paper often has more patience than people. So I always think of like my journal honestly as like my therapist or something. Like it's like a therapy session when I do it, because I'm like dumping things down and like reframing things, and I'm like talking to my journal, like I'm like it's like you're talking to someone, and that process of like writing things down helps you like conceptualize things and make sense of things. And that paper has all the time in the world for you, you know. Like, it's not gonna, and it's not, it sounds really weird, it's like unbiased. Obviously can't talk, but like, it's just, I don't, this is the relationship you develop with how to manage your conscious mind, is when you do that regular journaling. That's how it feels like. But yeah, I just love that quote, like, paper has more patience than people. So if you've never tried journaling before, like, just try it. Like, it's powerful stuff. So So you've heard us talk a lot in this section about meditating and positive affirmations, and you might be thinking, I want to start doing this, but I don't even know where to start. I need some help. Look no further. Head to our website, findingyourfeetpodcast.com, and we have a range of meditations and digital affirmation playlists, all themed. So whatever it is that you want to focus on, there is a meditation and affirmation for that, and you can just download it straight to your phone or your computer and start your meditation and affirmation journey with us, speaking positive, amazing things to you. We get amazing feedback on our affirmations, so go and check them out.
Yes, exactly. Like, me and Grace really sat there and thought what things have mainly changed our life, and that is meditations and affirmations. And that's why we sat there and created these beautiful playlists for you and the meditations. And they're only $3.99, and then you have lifetime access. You can download them onto all your devices and play them at any time, especially maybe the affirmations in the morning to set you up for the day. Like we said, get you in that good mood, fight those negative thoughts, and just take control of your day.
So just head to the link in the show notes or go to findyourfeetpodcast.com to shop yours now.
No, it's true. I absolutely love that quote. And we always say that, like, some of the stuff you write in your journal, you probably wouldn't say aloud. But that's the thing. You're giving yourself the permission to think, even though this thought is super, super crazy, I'm just going to write it on paper.
Yeah, because also, like, your journal's not going to judge you.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you tell your friend, like, one of your irrational little worries, she might think, you're off your tits. So you might not want to say it. So it's just good to, like, write down, because honestly our brain chats so much shit, like so much. Like, one thing, as I heard Mo Gowdett said, who's been on our podcast before, listen to that episode, Why Happiness is a Choice. If you've never listened to it, it's so good.
Yeah,
if we do say so ourselves. I mean, Mo was the one that was saying all the good stuff. I mean, well, yeah, it was an amazing episode. But he's like, for stuff like this, so like talking to your mind, like, he's like a game changer. But I remember hearing him in a podcast say that he had like a sort of disagreement with his daughter, and his daughter's like his best friend, like they're so close, and he was walking home from her house after they'd had like a little bit of a tiff at dinner, and his brain was going, your daughter doesn't love you anymore, she hates you now, like all this stuff. And he was literally walking the road, and he said he stopped in the middle of the road and he out loud said, shut up, brain. Like, actually told his mind to shut up. And he was like, how do you know that's true? It's not true. And like, if you saw that in the street, you'd literally think someone was like, you know, mentally unstable if you observe them doing that. But like, that is like, that's what I mean in be the boss of your own brain, because those, like, he could have just walked home in a slump and believed that thought and let it ruminate and just, you know, marinate all over him into such a low mood. And like
no, I love that. I can literally just picture him doing that.
Yeah.
And that reminds me as well of a book I've just started reading now, but it's obviously like a huge book in the self-development world, The Chimp Paradox.
Yeah.
And like, in really simple terms, like, that is exactly what Mo did. Like, he just shut up his chimp.
Yeah.
Because your chimp works on emotion. So obviously he would have probably been upset, thinking, oh my God, she doesn't love me anymore, purely working on emotion. And then your human, they call it like your human in your mind, works on facts. So facts knows for true that his daughter still loves him.
Yeah.
So he literally took control of his chimp, and the chimp, like, I think it said like 95% of the time, like, it will win if you don't take control. So you have to like really consciously think, I'm going to work. And we say that all the time with like things like negative thoughts, where we say, is there any evidence? Like, there's absolutely no evidence. It's like when your chimp tries to take over, especially on emotion, like especially in things like conflicts, you might have been offended about something, your chimp starts to take over saying, oh my God, they said this to upset me, when that's not true at all. You have to literally just like get out the seat of your chimp and get back into your human and say, shut up, brain.
Yeah, I do feel like you've got to like fight for your happiness. You really do. You know, you're
it's
up
like a tug of
negativity
war.
bias and all this, your ego and all this stuff. Like, you gotta.
But it's so doable, and like,
it
but
is.
as long as you learn, and that's why I like listening to this podcast now, and like the time that we spend listening to podcasts and reading books, like that is what equals happiness. Not because it's given to you on a silver plate, but because you're putting in the work every day.
Yeah, and I think that's what people get all like feel down about happiness, is because they think that it's not a choice, and that, you can't just choose to be happy, you just are, and that it's external circumstances that have to be a certain way for you to be happy. When actually you could have all, and this is what a lot of people do, is they go through their life trying to create external circumstances to be in a certain way because they think that's going to bring happiness. And then they get that, and they achieve great things and it's all fab, and they do that, but they still feel the same. They still feel this, like you still have the same, self-doubt, negative thoughts, and all of that. Like but that's what's nice, is because you don't need to wait for all the external things to be in order or done or whatever you want to feel happy. You can do it now, and it's like a choice, and it's through managing your mind with these sort of practices that we're talking about today.
Yeah, exactly. And just going back to, because we did speak quite a lot there about like morning routine, like with the conscious mind, it's about prepping yourself. And going back to Mel Robbins, the interview she's been doing, she was kind of explaining about morning routines and how crucial they are. And she was saying that research shows that your mood in the morning impacts your productivity for the rest of the day. So if you really struggle with productivity and maybe procrastination, then implementing a morning routine and really like getting yourself in a good mood for the day is going to affect your productivity. And then also when you take even just 1 minute of intentional reflection in the morning, it changes how you show up as a leader. It also changes the impact you have on the people around you. So in terms of like just our morning routine, because we didn't actually go over it there, like just as a whole, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh my God, I need a morning routine, what we do mainly is I wake up, I'll do my gratitude journal, I'll write down what I'm grateful for. And recently I've been more writing down what I'm grateful for, and then as well doing like a big brain dump of either like my worries or like what I want to achieve that day, but like kind of like more of a like what I'm grateful for, and then more of just like a stream of consciousness, what's on your mind. And then usually what we're grateful for in the future, and then I'll do a meditation. I've been doing a new call at the minute, so I do a little dance, affirmations, and now of course doing our high five in the mirror. So it's quite a lot of things, but it's something that you can just make your own, take what you want from it, and also like it doesn't actually take that long at all. When like say for gratitude and stuff, like you could do 2 minutes gratitude, 5 minutes meditation, like you can make it your own, whatever works for you. And like some people doing a dance in the morning, that might not lift your vibe, but for some people it really does.
Yeah, and you could just put on, Justin Bieber, if that's what you love, like some like fun music whilst you're getting dressed. Like you can make it fit into your time, or like whilst you make your morning coffee or something, why not put on an absolute banging song and just start like having a little bop, and it'll change your vibe. Because I mean, how can you be sad when you're dancing? It just doesn't work. And it's that same thing, I guess, with like what the research is behind why that high five habit works, because you associate high-fiving with like woohoo, like yes, like that kind of energy. The same way with you dancing. No one's dancing and crying, are they? Well, maybe they are, I don't know, but typically they're not. Like dancing is like at parties, like when you're celebrating, it's fun, it's so if you're doing that, your brain's like, that's again that physical association, so your brain's gonna be like, oh yeah, we vibing right here, let's go, let's smash the day.
Yeah, exactly. And like you deserve to feel good. If you're doing a little dance in the morning half asleep, that's basically saying I'm gonna feel good today. Yeah,
like I remember last summer I kept getting my Alexa to sing me like old school songs like good morning.
Oh, like the cheesy ones, like cheesy ones.
In lockdown, I kept getting Alexa to like wake me up with those songs.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And I would jump out of bed because I'm like, I feel like I'm in a musical.
I love that. I actually have a morning playlist called like Morning Energy, and it's half like relaxing things and then half like really cringe musical like morning things, because they just get you going.
Yeah, I love it. But yeah, morning routines, once you like implement one, they become very sacred, and you're like, oh my God, I can't not do this.
Yeah, it becomes like part of you.
Yeah, and like the research that you were just saying there about how like it does, if you do a morning routine in some form, that it makes you more productive for the day and stuff. Like, the science is there, but also we can say like, yes, it 100% works because we do that. Like I can see that in my own life. So yeah.
Start getting your morning routine in line, and start small. Don't overwhelm yourself, but 100% like one of the main tips we would say is good morning routine.
Yeah, So we're just going to move on now to the subconscious mind. Now we've just taken you through the simple things you need to do to tidy up your conscious mind. So like we said before, your subconscious mind is what drives 95% of your behavior. It's where your belief systems lie. It's where all that, how you view the world, everything, your worldview lives in your subconscious mind. And also it is where you manifest from. And the thing with your subconscious mind is that it doesn't know what is truth and what is a lie. It just believes whatever it hears. So like when you're tending to your conscious mind, like with the practice of affirmations, that is like a conscious mind activity. You're doing it with your conscious mind, but repeatedly over time, your subconscious mind is always listening to what you're doing, and what, you know, it's observing how you behave and everything. That's how it creates the belief systems and the worldview that drives your behavior on that automatic unconscious level, so that you don't need to even think about it. It's just going to do it for you. If you're like saying affirmations, you're doing that with your conscious mind, but over time, because your subconscious mind doesn't know what's a truth or a lie, your subconscious mind just believes what it hears. So if you keep saying like, I'm worthy, I am enough, I am strong, like every day for a period of time, your subconscious mind will literally believe that, and you will start showing up in your life with a behavior that represents somebody who thinks they're worthy, enough, and are strong. So your subconscious mind holds your belief systems, and your belief systems, depending on what they are, can make you happy or they can literally ruin your life. So it's so important to do the subconscious mind work, because you can sit there with your vision board and your list of goals and everything that you want for your life, but if your subconscious mind is not aligned with what it is that you want and doesn't believe you're worthy of it, it's going to self-sabotage the shit out of you trying to get that. Like, so it's so important, and I feel like it's not really spoken about that much. But because we like have been we've been practicing the art of manifestation for years, manifesting is actually what made me identify subconscious blocks that I have that are so deep rooted that even years later I'm still chipping away at, because you like are literally rooting out things from childhood, things that, like, you know, it's locked away in your head that you can't even remember where it formed from. And sometimes you have to be in like therapy and situations like that to actually access the early memories of where this came from. But you know, you need your subconscious mind to align with what it is that you actually want to actually get what you want in life. Like if you do not believe you're worthy of things you want, you won't get it. You can't manifest it. You just block it because you send out an energy that says I'm not worthy, and you also self-sabotage without even realizing. You literally self-sabotage and get in your own way. And yeah, it's crazy, but like it's so vital to know, because that's how you be empowered, and that's how, like, you know, you really create the life that you that you want. But you got to be like willing to, you know, sort of put in the work to really do the deep weeding of the subconscious mind. I mean, it's actually so it's really fun. It is fun in a way. Like it's not hard, but it's not easy. It requires like commitment and dedication. But when you do it, it's so rewarding, because you might go to therapy and realize, oh my God, like I think that about the world from my one childhood experience that's now made me walk around as an adult, like being scared of X, Y, Z. As soon as you identify that and like you root it out, because once you're aware, you're halfway there. So once you gain awareness of it, and then you can then become aware of like the behaviors that are being driven by that subconscious belief that's maybe not empowering, then that's when you're like, wow, because your reality shifts. Because then all of a sudden, like, let's say in romantic relationships, because I think this is a very good example for subconscious mind, because so many people have like subconscious things about relationships and love, because it's all depending on what you viewed growing up, and everybody had such a different relationship with their parents, a different relation, like their parents themselves had a very different relationship. Like not all parents stay together, some people were raised by a single parent, and or maybe your parents were together, but maybe like your you didn't have a great relationship with them. Like, all these things impact your view of relationships and love and your capacity to give and receive love. So like, if you get to the root of maybe some of your things from childhood, what will happen is you might go from dating emotionally unavailable people and being attracted to like emotionally unavailable toxic people. And we kind of spoke about this a lot in our episode with Stephanie Lynn coaching, which was a couple episodes back. It's called like Narcissists and Emotional Abuse. Talk a lot about that and like how much your childhood, like you basically are so subconsciously attracted to these people that are going to heal this, you know, like this negative belief system in your subconscious mind. You think they're going to heal it, so you get drawn to them, like, oh, like these emotionally unavailable people and stuff, and thinking that if you can make them love you, it's going to be able to change that subconscious belief that where your inner child was like, you know, not getting the love or attention that they wanted because of whatever. But when you go to the root and dig all these things out, what you'll notice is you aren't attracted to emotionally unavailable people. And all of a sudden, emotionally available people are just appear into your life, and this is when your reality shifts. And it comes from digging things out of your subconscious mind. And it can be the same with like, you know, believing yourself about career things. Maybe you have a belief that you aren't capable, you haven't got, your potential's limited, you haven't got the skills, or you aren't good enough, you're not intelligent enough, like you won't be able to do things to actually like have a career that you want, or maybe to own a business or something like that. And then once you get to the root, and maybe it was caused by a teacher telling you that you weren't going to amount to anything, and that's one thought, that's one experience that then your childhood self observed and was like upset by. So then you create the belief system, because all of our like subconscious belief systems are mainly formed between the ages of 0 and 8. So if a teacher's told you you're going to amount to nothing, you're then going to think, I'm going to amount to nothing. So then you go through your adult life playing up to that. So if you like can do the work to dig around your subconscious mind, identify what that belief system is, where it came from, and release it and let it go, what you'll find is your reality shifts, and all of a sudden you are getting promoted, you're being brave, you're being more courageous, maybe you are setting up a business, or you're going to a new company, you've got a better job, you've got a pay rise, all these things start to shift. And that's why, like, when you're saying like about manifesting, like it is because it's such an unconscious and automatic system that's running your brain and your behavior and your reality and how you're perceiving the world. When you like clear it out and make sure it does align with what you want, that's when you see results.
Exactly. And I think like with the subconscious mind, it is developed obviously in your younger years, and they explain that it's because like your rational mind hasn't developed yet. So like, say now if I said to you, Grace, you can't do it or whatever, or you're gonna amount to nothing, you know, like something like that, like you know,
piss off.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know your worth now, you know, like, you know what's worth consuming. But whereas like when you're younger, when you're growing up, if you hear things, if you see things, like witness things from your parents, you can't like analyze it, you can't rationalize it. No. And you just take it in as a belief, and that belief system is stored within your mind as a subconscious belief, and as we said, it will run your life. So it's completely up to you to weed out those subconscious beliefs. And I think people shy away from the process because I think usually subconscious belief, it can be attached to something positive, but usually it's attached to some kind of trauma. And when we say trauma, we don't mean something like horrific that happened. It could just be something with a heightened emotion. Like, we can all think back to events. Like, even if you can like think back now to like one of your earliest memories of you like crying or something, like that's probably like, I'm not saying that's a trauma, but if you can remember a really heightened emotion time, there's a reason you can remember it. And like stuff like that is where subconscious beliefs come from. And you can work on your own subconscious beliefs and uncover your own, like you really can start your own, like reading books all to do with this. Like when we're talking about this, I was literally just sat there then and I was like, this is so fascinating. Like, I love stuff like this. And there are like endless books you can read with journal prompts that can really help you go back. Because I think that's what the main thing you have to do with subconscious beliefs is you have to go back. Like you can't go forward or anything. You have to go back, before you start stepping forward, and you have to go back and rewire those thoughts. So it does require you being fully seen in a way and fully honest with yourself. So you can start on your own, but like as a whole, if any friend came to me and said, I want to work on my subconscious beliefs, the main thing I would say is reach out for help. And if that's from like, I don't know, a therapist, an energy healer, a coach, someone that can help you work on your subconscious beliefs, because that is what they are trained to do.
Yeah.
They will listen to you, they will process what you're saying, they'll listen to your past, and they can help you identify those subconscious beliefs. Because sometimes when we don't even want to like hear the truth, or like say for example, once you know subconscious belief, you kind of have to work to rewire it. So to keep us like in our comfortable, I was going to say comfortability then. To keep us in our comfortability, we might kind of put it off because we don't want to do the work. So like you might not be able to identify your subconscious beliefs because subconsciously you don't want to.
Yeah.
So reaching out for help is absolutely crucial. And that is why I think people put it off, because it does require being fully seen. It requires being really honest with your childhood. Like a lot of people think, oh, I had the most amazing childhood, and you probably did. But it just doesn't mean that like you might have like trauma, but it's like coming to that conclusion that, oh, it doesn't make this person bad or this person bad. It doesn't mean I had a bad childhood. It just means that every single person has trauma. Every single person has subconscious beliefs, and you can work on rewiring them. And just to kind of like release as well, kind of like, I think that there's a lot of shame sometimes in asking for help. It's like, oh, can I not figure this out on my own? But this is so deep and it's so subconscious. Like when I went to therapy, it was like mainly subconscious. Like literally Estelle Bingham, who's been on our podcast, who is like an energy healer and a holistic therapist, she said to me before I even went, I was like explaining what I wanted to do, and she was like, oh, so you want like a spring clean of your subconscious beliefs? And I was like, that is what I want, because I was like, I'm not really aware of my subconscious beliefs. So if you can tell me what they are, that is something that is going to change my life. Like literally change my life. So yeah, I think definitely reaching out to someone for help, like a therapist who is trained to help you notice those subconscious beliefs, is a really, really good place to start.
Yeah, because you listen to this right now, you're a self-aware person. Otherwise you wouldn't be attracted to this podcast and this episode, and you wouldn't be listening to it, and you wouldn't be, nearly an hour in still listening to this if you weren't a self-aware person. But even when you're at that level of self-awareness where you can read yourself and everything, it's still hard to fully connect the dots between your deep subconscious wiring. Like you can read yourself, but only like to a certain level. So that's why you need that therapist or a healer or a coach to basically just hold the mirror up to you and in a safe space where you feel comfortable, and in a non-invasive and gentle way, they will help you connect the dots. And you then it's like it drops away like really quite instantly once you like these things that these therapy breakthroughs you have where you're like, holy shit, I didn't even realize for my whole life that I view the world in that way, or I think that way. And it's because that's how you've always thought. So you've never known anything different. So then as soon as you become aware and you that's not serving me, you just let it go, and it changes and your reality shifts. So that's why like I think everyone should go to therapy at some point in their life and dip in and out of it, like go every few years, because as you grow and you move through life, like you become more aware of different subconscious things you might have as you go towards different avenues of your life, so we have a place for you to go to start doing this, start doing the work on your subconscious mind with a licensed therapist, and that is with the people who sponsor our podcast, and they are BetterHelp, who are a professional, secure online counselling service, and they will set you up with a therapist in just 48 hours of you filling out the application form, which takes like 5 minutes to fill out, and you can start being seen by someone and start this journey literally from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah, exactly. We are really, really proud to be sponsored by BetterHelp, as it's something we rave about therapy. Like, we have experienced the benefits. So to be partnered with BetterHelp is incredible. And their mission is to help you start living a happier life from today. And they have so many benefits. And one of the main things that really can stand in the way of people accessing therapy is a financial investment. So BetterHelp are much more affordable than your traditional offline counselling. And not only that, they are offering our listeners 10% off your first month of therapy. So it'll actually be around £40 a week for therapy. And you can say what you want help for. So say if you do want to really work on your subconscious beliefs, you can tell them that before and they will pair you with the right person. And if you're paired with someone and you think, actually, I'm not really getting on with this person, I'm not really getting what I want, because you really want to get suck everything you want from therapy. If you're doing that investment, you want to get everything out of it. So if you're actually not happy with who you are paired with, you can change for free until you're happy, which I think is just an incredible benefit.
Yeah. So their price point is much more competitive than like traditional offline counselling or other online counselling services, because they do want to make it accessible for everyone. So if you want to start your therapy journey, we really do recommend BetterHelp. And to get the discount for being a podcast listener, just go to the link betterhelp.com/finding your feet. That's betterhelp.com/finding your feet, and that will get you 10% off your first month of therapy. You pay it's like a subscription you pay per month, but you just do like 1 month and you can cancel. You don't get like locked into a contract or anything. And yeah, it will cost you about £160 for the month with a discount for being a Finding Your Feet listener. And as people who have done therapy before and paid various prices, that is a very, very good price. And I've used BetterHelp and I can say that their service is just the same as offline counselling. Like, you get the exact same results. Their therapists are all really highly qualified, very professional, and want what's best for you.
Yeah, exactly. We are all here for the therapy breakthroughs. They're the breakthroughs you want.
They are. They're bloody amazing. We love it.
We do. But yeah, if you have any questions at all about therapy or about BetterHelp, we're very happy to answer over on Instagram at Finding Your Feet Podcast. Okay, so with that being said, we're just going to round up the episode with our quote of the week. And it is, "You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf." I think that just sums it up perfectly. Like, sometimes you can't stop those negative thoughts, but you can decide which thoughts you choose every day and control them.
Yeah. Read it out again.
You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf.
Yeah. You can't stop the waves of life.
No.
They might not always be a good wave. It might be a rough wave. But you can learn to handle it through keeping the brain in check, tidying up the conscious and the subconscious mind. Love that.
Exactly. Ride the waves. Don't drown. You may feel like you're drowning sometimes, but you're not. You can ask for help and you can ride the waves.
You totally can. But thank you so much for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to connect with us further, come and join our community on Instagram at Finding Your Feet Podcast, and let us know what you thought about the show. Send us a DM. We love talking to you guys in the comments and in the Instagram DMs. And yeah, this is a community podcast, so hearing from you guys is so fun and special. We love it.
Yeah, we really do love your feedback. And if you do want to sign up for our Monday morning mail list, if you want a little boost on your Monday morning, then you can sign up through the link in our show notes.
And if you're listening on audio, please note we do also put all of our podcasts up on YouTube. So if you want to, chill at home and watch us on TV, or if you want to really feel like you're with us, you can watch us on YouTube. So come and subscribe to our channel. It's just Finding Your Feet Podcast, and we've linked it in the show notes.
But that's all for now. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.